As spring has been coming in, the cardinals have really been ramping up their singing. And what is so joyful in the winter is when I start to hear them every now and then as early as mid or even late January. And it just means that winter is almost over. Okay, not almost over in January, but I feel like their song and the song of a robin is sort of that light at the end of the tunnel. His song is just so bold and delightful, and when you know that the song belongs to such a striking bird, it seems to be all the more enjoyable. So to all the backyard bird hosts starting to get cardinal fever, now is a great time to encourage a resident pair of cardinals and even turn your yard into more of a haven for cardinals and other native songbirds. And thankfully, with cardinals, it's actually not very hard to do, to encourage them and turn your yard into a haven, since they're pretty fond of residential areas. But there are some extra steps we can take to make them really love your yard and have them see it as a real habitat. So where do we even begin? If you're feeding cardinals, this is a great start right here. Make sure when selecting your seed, you're buying seed blends with safflower and black oil sunflower seed. Be careful too, because a lot of seed blends out there that you'll find at grocery stores and dollar stores and just any stores, it says that it's suited for all songbirds when really it's just filled with filler seed like millet, milo, and cracked corn. And some birds really like it, but non-native invasive house sparrows really like this stuff too. They especially like it. And you don't want these birds in your yard. Not just because they're a feeder nuisance, but they routinely and fatally attack native birds. Mostly they're attacking bluebirds, chickadees, tree swallows, purple martins, but they have also been recorded fatally harming finches, cardinals, and robins too. They're also just more social and remain in colonies, which means that they transmit diseases a lot faster and more frequently. If you've watched any of my other videos, you already know this much. But for some of you who are new to my channel and my videos, or new to backyard songbird conservation, you will hear me give this public service announcement in almost every single video in some way or another. It's just something that not many of us knew. I didn't know when starting out either. Anyway, all this means is that now is a good time to reevaluate your seed choice and make sure it's the kind of stuff that carries good fats and good proteins, not the filler stuff. The next thing is making sure you have a feeder that really supports cardinals. Hopper feeders, platform feeders, and really anything with a nice horizontal perch is going to be great for cardinals. That horizontal bar helps them get a little more stabilized on the feeder, and platform feeders give them just that fully flat surface to eat. I'll have some links in the description to a few feeders I would recommend and some more information about them. Take a look at the description if you're interested in a good feeder choice for your cardinals. Providing water is the next step. If you have a bird bath, make sure you clean it regularly and refresh it. As it gets warmer out, you'll want to increase how often you're cleaning it and everything. Plus, it will dry out a lot quicker when it's hot. Bird bath maintenance may seem like an afterthought. I can be really neglectful sometimes too, but it's just part of our responsibility as stewards of the wildlife in our backyard. If we're going to put it out, we should be really good hosts. As to bird bath types, through a lot of experimentation, I found that slick surface baths are harder for birds to really get balanced and feel secure on. So I don't recommend these. They're really pretty, but it's not going to attract as many birds. And they're going to have a harder time with it. So instead, look for baths that are textured. I'll also have some links in the description to recommendations, things I've tried before too. I also love bird baths that have different depths because it also gives smaller birds the option to also bathe and get water. The next thing to really help turn your backyard into a cardinal sanctuary and just a bird haven in general is making sure you have some good foliage for coverage. This is especially helpful when you want to encourage cardinals to nest in your yard too. If your backyard is sparse of landscaping and you've been thinking about adding stuff, this would be even more reason to do it. And an extra excuse for a plant is not a bad thing. Evergreen type bushes are a great choice because it gives cardinals year-round coverage, and any bird in general. Juniper bushes, especially native ones, are great. Holly, a holly tree anyway, is another evergreen option that's great. My cardinals really love evergreen bushes, and I think it's for the safety of it, really. And you can always do mixes between evergreens and other deciduous plants, but this will give them more hiding places that they'll love and give them places to roost in the winter or get out of the wind, and it's just a great idea. This brings us to plants in general. Besides finding plants for coverage and security, planting stuff that naturally feeds your cardinals and encourages insects is also a great way to make cardinals feel very at home in your yard. Burying trees are a good option. Red mulberry trees are great for cardinals. They love it, and they're natural to a cardinal's native range. Elderberry, serviceberry, those are all great fruiting selections. As far as flowers go, you can't go wrong with planting sunflowers. Not only will this attract your cardinals, but it'll attract house finches, goldfinches, and a variety of buntings, just to name a few. Plants, especially native plants, have the other advantage of encouraging beneficial insects, which is so important to a cardinal's diet and any bird's diet, especially during the spring and summer months. My final tip, which is a bit tricky to do, has to do with chemicals and pesticides. You've probably seen the advice out there about going chemical and pesticide free in your yard to make it more of a habitat. And obviously from a conservation standpoint, I really stand behind that too. But I also recognize that there are HOAs, city ordinances about weeds, and overall lawn pride. Here's the thing, when it comes to pesticides, even if lawn care people claim that they're all natural and non-toxic, they're not selective. And that's really key right there. They will not just kill the bugs you intend them to kill, but they can kill the larva of everything else. And that kills a bird's food supply. That's really, really important to think about. Larvae and insects especially are important to nestlings. This is where they get a lot of that nutrition and all of their hydration. That's where it comes from. So I would give this advice at least as some heavy consideration. At least think about some baby steps that you could take to go chemical free in the beginning. I also know that there's realities to this. For instance, skipping the grub control could lead to other problems, other lawn problems that would require more drastic treatment in order to fix. So yeah, I definitely would say baby steps. Make a plan, even just create spaces that are designated chemical and pesticide-free areas to begin with. It's not a perfect solution by any means. But it is a start, and then you can get a sense of how your lawn will react. Eventually you can graduate your way into more natural situations, or this might be the best you can do, and that's okay. Just, again, give it consideration. Really though, making your yard a cardinal haven isn't too hard at all because they are so adapted to living near people. But taking these steps can help them really thrive and let your yard become more of a natural habitat for them. If you have any tips that maybe I left out, or you just have a life hack here, or just cardinal stories in general, or you just want to share about your love of cardinals, put that in the comments below. One of the things I really love about these videos is your stories. So many come in emails or in comments, and I just never get tired of hearing or, well, reading what these birds mean to you, or how you've dedicated yourselves to taking care of them, or you've had special relationships with some of your backyard birds. So put it in the comments. I absolutely love it. And I thank you all so much for watching, supporting your native birds, and supporting your backyard wildlife, and I will see you in the next video.